Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins calling out the media, reporting on cuts made to his department. The secretary now accusing Virginia Senator Tim Kaine and Virginia Congressman Bobby Scott of lying to veterans after both claimed a new outpatient clinic in Chesapeake will not have full staffing. Joining me now is the man himself, Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins. Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Marie, it's always good to see you.
Well, that was very effective. You just hit it right where you see it, and, you know, you put her on her heels to answer. Walk us through, Secretary, your plans to, on the one hand, ensure that you've got efficiency and you're following along the lines of many of your colleagues within government, trying to make cuts, trying to, do more with less, but not cut into the muscle, while also ensuring that your veterans have everything that they need.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be great, and it's a great day to talk about. It's opening day of baseball, so if you put the strike in the middle, we're gonna hit the pitch. And what we're gonna do here at the VA is do exactly that. You just defined our issue. We've got to look at what we do well and what we have struggled with, and say, how do we best fit our veteran, not the VA, but the veteran themselves. So what we're looking at is how are we getting more money and more resources, doctors, nurses, those kind of things to our healthcare systems, and how are we making sure our benefits are getting processed on a timely basis. The answer, Maria, and you and I have talked about this for years in Washington, D.C., is you throw money at stuff. You throw money and people and say, oh, I'll walk away from it because I've done all I can do. Well, in the last 4 years, they've thrown billions of dollars at this and thousands upon 10,000s of people at it. And our metrics for why we measure success and our health wait times and also our backlogs have went down. So what we're doing is we're going to say, what is the bureaucracy level? Not only starting in central office, going all the way down to how do we make sure that that bureaucracy is trimmed down so that we can give the best care possible. It's a simple process. Let's put the most bang for our buck where it needs to go first.
Well, Secretary, what do you want to say to corporate America? How can the private sector be helpful here? Because I know that our veterans go off to help our dear country, and they see the worst of the worst. They are exposed to some horrible things. They come back and they need to switch gears and pivot into the private sector. They're coming back with discipline, teamwork, courage, all things that any company would want in their ranks. So what do you think you can do to work with the private sector to get a better benefit for our veterans?
It's a great thing to look at because we're actually working with that partnering. And I would encourage any organization that doesn't already have a strong outreach to our veterans and looking at that. And when you look at the discipline, what you just said, that discipline, that understanding of get up, the go to work mentality is something that is so important to whatever job you're doing, from our construction and manufacturing jobs all the way to our corporate offices in finance. This is something that it's taught and instilled in our veterans from the moment they stepped into boot camp. This is something that they understand. But also, I would say this, also as they work with our veterans, you also made the comment, which I think is very important, is that those veterans are there and they have been through a lot. And I think what we look at here is making sure that they have something in their jobs that is challenging. They're going to be challenging the company. They're going to be giving you a better employee. So for us, it's reaching out, making sure that these companies know that they're transition points. This is something, Maria, that's very important to me. There's a concern right now of the transition out of active duty or even reserves or others into the private sector. And that's a very difficult time for many veterans, not debilitating, but just different, because you're going from a very structured environment to an environment in which is not as structured. And that's a time in which there can be some concerns in families and in members. So when the employers need to know that when they get those employees, that they are looking for a challenge and they'll meet that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, we need to help our veterans after they come home. Now, Mr. Secretary, you've accepted an invitation from Senate Veterans Affairs Committee Chairman Jerry Moran to testify about your plans to cut nearly 80,000 agency jobs, which is 15% of the workforce. Is that right? Tell me about that. No date has been set yet. However, Ranking Member Richard Blumenthal, he says he's not waiting around. He's calling for a shadow hearing next week to discuss any cuts at VA. Mr. Secretary, will you accept Senator Blumenthal's invitation too?
Well, I'll accept Senator Blumenthal if he would quit scaring my veterans. And that's the problem I have right now. He's doing his shadow hearing that's going to scare veterans and present a very one-sided opinion of his perspective of what's going on at the VA. Remember, he was just in the last administration in the majority in which they would put money towards something. And then it was amazing how they didn't hold metrics and accountability going forward. It's easy to, Maria, what I found down here, it's easy to pick on the VA. It's easy to use us as the whipping post for all of your issues, but yet when it comes down to actually solving a problem, Senator Blumenthal doesn't want me to do anything. So undoubtedly, Senator Blumenthal undoubtedly wants it to stay the same. They want it to have longer backlogs, longer wait times. They want it to be a bloated system of bureaucracy. So, look, I would actually encourage Senator Blumenthal, if he wants to have his shadow hearing, go at it. But again, when you do that, I want him to keep in the back of his mind as a veteran himself that you're scaring veterans and you're scaring VA employees. We're actually working through a plan, and we've been talking to members of Congress, sharing them about how we're looking at that projected goal of reducing government. And we're not the only one. President Trump made generational change when he won, saying we're going to reduce the scope and size of government. Well, we're going to do that in a very methodical way to make sure that we're taking out the middle and the sections that aren't affecting patient care directly and benefits to get us a better product. In D.C., maybe that doesn't sound real good if you're sort of tied to unions and others who want to see the VA be an employment agency and not a service organization. We're a service organization, not an employment agency.
So you're committing to not impacting patient care and benefits for our veterans?
I'm actually looking to make it better, Maria.
Okay.
I'm actually looking to make it better because right now I've been in my hospitals and I'll be in them again next week. And I've asked them, what is your biggest concern? And I have administrators and I'll ask them point blank, what is your biggest concern about getting change in your facilities? And they say, well, we send stuff up and we never hear back from it. That should never happen. The discussion between up here in the central office where we work, the main office, my desk, and a hospital is like a maze and a map that you need to figure out how to get stuff done. We need to streamline what we do and put more doctors and more nurses out of desk jobs and put them back in helping patients.
So is it moving people around in order to do that while also streamlining so that you actually have the proper doctors in place? I mean, look, you know how I feel about this. My father was a veteran. They honored him so phenomenally with his funeral as well, by the way. I could not have been more proud. And my father always loved the VA so much. So I am also wondering how it is that you're going to cut on the one hand, but also put the right people in place to ensure that these veterans have the care that they need at the VA hospitals.
Well, it's pretty simple, and I know it's an interesting way to look at it, but Maria, you would not believe the influx that we have of what we call just it's just middle management. There's visit levels, there's other things here of tens of thousands of people who do not directly affect patient care. In fact, we have doctors and nurses who are not, they're not working with patients, they're working with paperwork far removed from a hospital setting. Wouldn't it be better if we take some of those doctors, put them back where we need them, and then we take the other levels of payroll and finance and all these other things that we're duplicating services. Here's something you need to know, Maria. We had a payroll system in which we did not do all of our payroll through one payroll system. We let others, almost 50 or 60 agencies do it on their own internally when we do it cheaper in one way. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's been so long that nobody's held accountable. We got to hold accountable.
Yeah, and you can't just have a brush stroke and say, "Oh, these are the cuts." What you're doing it in a surgical way. You're actually finding the overlaps and trying to cut out that waste. Secretary, we're watching your work. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you.